All right, y'all, what's going on? Good morning. It is about 9:15. I overslept and had meal one about an hour ago. A little extra food because I am hungry today. It's actually 8:45. I want you guys to check out this video here. It's called How to Change the Way You Think with Marissa Peer on London Real. This specific clip, 7 minutes and 10 seconds, is really, really good. Again, it's how to change the way you think. Yeah, I woke up definitely just worried about traveling, about school, about money, about my knee, about having to push tomorrow. And it was just a good thing to wake up to and understand that I can't think of all those things. I just have to think about my recovery and making the right decisions and doing what I need to do, because I can do it. And just because there's things in the way or things I have to work around, it doesn't mean I have to keep reminding myself about it. I can just accept it and keep going and train. So that's what we're gonna do. Accept it and train, and I do recommend you guys check that out 100%. And I have been doing some reading and some therapy and trying to open up my mind a little bit. So if you guys have questions on things like that, maybe that's something we can talk about in the near future. But it's always a lot to talk about for sure. So let's go get on the bike and get squatting. Let's hope the knee feels great. It'll at least feel as good as it did last time, I'm sure. So we'll see. 7.5 minutes on the bike is done, and now we're getting into squats. So I'm gonna warm up a lot with the bar. I remember in therapy, he'd have me warm up with like 3 sets of 12 or 3 sets of 20 around body weight with whatever we chose that day. So I'll do 12 here, I'll put a quarter on, do 12. I'll do 8 to 12, and then maybe even a quarter and a 10 or a 35, and then we'll go. So I'll film every set and include it. So if you want to move along in the video, you can. All right, let's go. All right, everyone, what is going on? Coming back to you the day after this leg workout that you're watching. And coincidentally, I just did my second push day of this new training cycle post-injury. So we did pull Wednesday, legs Thursday, push Friday. It's currently Friday. So it's been a lot of training, but I feel good. Luckily, I made it through 3 training days in a row without aggravating anything. I think my knee feels maybe as bad as it did after my hardest physical therapy session, but I have to learn how to disassociate inflammation and pain from injury, and I'm gonna do that by taking a step back on the squatting. It's so hard to say it, but it has to be done, and focusing on a single leg things, because I learned more when I was doing that. So I'm gonna pop in here for a second. I'll join you guys soon. Alright guys, so things are feeling good and much better. I'm gonna try to put the camera right in front of my knees and describe the difference between cueing knees out, cueing knees forward, or having knee caving in. This is gonna be me trying to track with my knee inside, meaning when I push to press, no knee flare, nothing. I'm just gonna press straight down and let my knees collapse towards each other. I don't recommend doing it, because that's what happens when people's form breaks down, but not for this people. So let's put a plate on there. So yeah guys, what I was trying to get at there was when I was injured, I learned to squat with bowing my knees out. So as you can see here, with my feet pretty straight, they feel like they're internally rotated. And right there with my right knee tracking over my big toe, and my left knee was doing about the same over the left toe, the left big toe, and that was me really trying to force my knees in. So one thing I've learned through physical therapy is that the way I was squatting before was to prevent pain, and it was kind of exaggerating beginner cues like knees out, you know, keep your spine straight, stay up. It wasn't really cueing the knees back and sit back, but I was cueing what I thought was best and what I thought was gonna give me the only result that I could really hope for. So going to physical therapy and doing things on one leg, you start to realize that when you're on one leg, you can't flare your knee out, you can't flare your knee in. When you're on one leg, your knee has no choice but to track the way it's supposed to. Because when you're balanced on your foot, if you try to track with your knee out, you'll fall. If you try to track with your knee in, you'll fall. So I've realized this now that I've had time to squat and do my physical therapy on my own time. When I was doing PT, my knee was sore all the time, but it never really got past the pain level of like a 3. After this, I was at a pain level like a 2. After the squat tush, I was at pain level 3, but I used to get pain level 2 from just laying on the ground and lifting my leg and trying to stretch my hamstring. I would do that for reps and my kneecap would be sore the next day. So I'm getting a similar type of soreness in the patella area. I don't really know, it's hard to tell. It's like not anything alarming, but it's similar and it feels like soft tissue. So I want to do some research, and I mean, my physical therapist never really made any statements about it, but I'm curious to see if you can feel meniscus pain. I mean, I don't really know if there's pain receptors in the area. So it's really confusing to me, but hopefully as I get through some of these comments, we will address the issue together and we can kind of come to some sort of, not agreement, but come to some sort of realization. So these are my last 2 heavy sets, guys. I'll let you watch the last one as it finishes, but let's observe the 4. So we worked up to 205. I think this is 215. I'll go ahead and put the weights here. I was doing sets of 5 or 6 the whole way. And as you can see, I mean, I'm not forcing my right knee to lock anymore as hard, but it's straight there. I'm getting the full range of motion, pausing and coming up. So one thing I will try to do is to sit back even further. So you see my knee traveling forward, which is fine, I don't mind it, but I want to get the weight more on the inner ball of my foot and my inner heel, or my heel in general. When I sometimes squat, I feel like the weight is on the perimeter of the outer part of my foot, especially when I was injured. So now I'm trying to stop squatting like, you know, feet like this, and I'm trying to just plant my feet. So that's why I'm barefoot, so I can really get an idea of where my toes are. And when I go back to squatting, I will definitely play with my toe stance. I will flex my glutes and see where external rotation gets me. Maybe that'll be easier on my knee. Maybe starting with my feet perfectly straight causes pressure on the knees out type of cue. So if I can open my stance, it might relieve some of that outside stress. But again, I'm not really well versed in this, so I'm gonna do what was helping, which was one-legged stuff. And I definitely think you can grow from it, so check out the rest of the set. And here we are back with the one-legged stuff. I started with my left leg here, and you guys can see just how good I am with it. Down and up, 20 pounds in each hand. I did 3 sets of 12, so just kind of a baseline idea. And yeah, left leg was flying. I was able to stand up straight, lock it, no problem. And we'll see with the right leg the difference here. So regardless of where I stand, if I'm far away or close, my left foot and my left leg can always handle this movement, and so can my right. So let's check it out here. So one thing I would do here is step maybe a ½ inch further away, and instead of leaning over, lean a little straighter up. That way I can kind of get away from that forward pressure on the knee and just let my body sit back. So I don't have a problem with forward pressure on my knee. My left knee is great. But again, I want to avoid what I was doing before, and it's kind of like rotating the tires. So I was running on a tire on the outer edge because of my knee. I was trying to be on the outer edge of my right leg always. So now for me to like rotate the tire and fall inward to understand the balance is very strange. I messed up my hamstring curl filming there. So squats, Bulgarian split squats, and then a ham curl leg extension superset. So I'm getting better at these. My right knee, when I do this, I'm able to lock it, flex it, my VMO, my teardrop, so strong. So I've been doing 30 pounds on this since I started therapy, and I used to not be able to really do it with my right leg, and now I can do a full-on set. So I know it's not a lot of weight, but it's a janky machine, and the pad on your shins is like very unstable on purpose, so you can balance it yourself. So I get a lot out of it, just like I did when I laid on the ground and used the foam roller and just locked my knee. It's like that, but with an extra 15 pounds, and I feel a big difference. So again, the moral of this workout is I'm not gonna get better by squatting. I'm gonna get better by learning how to use my mechanics of my right knee, my right foot, my weight placement. I have to get it normal. I kind of stand like this. So instead of my 2 feet being even, this foot's comfortable and this foot's like, ah, it hurts, ah, I'm bad knee. So I have to relax my gastroc and relax some of those muscles. So I'm gonna introduce the pre-bedtime physical therapy stuff, terminal knee extension, lockouts, and just learn how to activate the inner part of my leg to lock my knee versus just locking my knee with external rotation. Same thing, upper body, I always cue external rotation, but for some reason, with my legs and the injury and the amount of squatting, I need to come back to squatting like I'm standing on skis. Did my 3 sets of my PT stuff by the calves, and that was it. Thank you guys, peace. All right, everyone, happy end of the week. We finally made it to Thursday, and I'm pretty excited because I got to leave work early today. Things went very well, and a couple of our students didn't show up. So I left work early to come do a little more work, but this is a little more my speed, just reading some of these comments I've been wanting to get to. So let's mosey back in, shall we? I'm glad you true. I also smoke weed and work out. I usually smoke after my workouts. What's great about living in Colorado and doing what I do is I can legally and admittedly talk about consuming cannabis or using cannabis. Now, when I go to school for physical therapy, picking up on the last comment, I have to quit. They're going to drug test us. I'm allowed to smoke right now, but it's illegal for me to have THC in my system when I begin practicing and maybe during the whole time. I'm not sure. I haven't asked that yet. So my plan is to stop consuming cannabis 8 weeks or more before the drug test to make sure that I'm following the legality and the rules and everything. But yeah, as far as when I like THC, it's definitely post-workout. But honestly, it just depends. It really, really just depends. If it's, you know, an evening where I want to eat, that's great. If it's before bed and I want to not be anxious, that's great. Sometimes a light amount pre-workout if I feel like it might benefit me, but I don't recommend it. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's healthy. But I think responsible consumption of THC is great, and I think it's great for eating. Even if you're dieting and you're miserable and you want to maybe pass out, you might get the munchies, you will, but it can just help for anxiety and things like that. So yeah, definitely a fan of a little THC or after the workouts, maybe with some eating involved as well. Good for recovery, I think. So Come Shot of the Week says that he wants to go back to university. You know what, man? I don't know if you're a guy or girl or who you are, but if you're debating going back to university and talking about training and sucking it up, then send me an email or DM and tell me, like, because if you're, I don't know if you're 21 or 31, I don't know if you live in the US or abroad, so I'd be interested, man. Hit me up. Ricky G, congrats, I'm applying for this coming cycle and trying to finish my prereqs. You should make a video about advice for those applying. Yeah, maybe it's really going to benefit very few people, but if you see this or if you want to get in touch with me, please do. My only advice is, because everyone's going to have the minimum requirements for GPA, GRE, and interning, you need to figure out how to be separated from them with the game, still playing the game, whether that's volunteer work, working inpatient or outpatient, shadowing a lot more, getting a job. All these things I listed are things that aren't fun and we don't like to do as lifters and as scientists. It's very boring, but it looks good. So get great marks, get great recommendations, and either intern or volunteer or do things in the clinical settings. Congrats, Raph. Kind of in the same spot, not sure what to do. I graduated in finance in May, and banking now it's boring. Yeah, banking is a lie as far as how my brain perceives it. When I was working in the finance industry, I felt like I was handling other people's money, handling projections and promises and earnings that may or should come, what the risk was and what the value of those projected earnings is. And when you're quantifying your workouts and your diet and your sleep hours and your stress level, when you're quantifying things and your finances and your education, when you go into the real world of fake money, that's how my brain sees it. Granted, there's billionaires who handle people's money and it's not very fake for them, but for me it wasn't a passion. I couldn't grasp it as something real. Whereas I'd see, you know, some of the other guys getting better every day and getting larger projects, and I couldn't even entertain the idea, and I tried. So maybe it's not for you. If you watch my channel, I don't think working in the finance industry is probably for you, because it wasn't for me. So, but that's kind of just giving you some tough love because maybe you haven't heard that, or you really are interested in what you're doing. But give it time, and if you suffer and you're stressed and you question what you're doing, then you've already decided it's not right for you. We'll finish with this. This looks great and relevant to me. Drug dealer killer tore his ACL and meniscus in 2012. A week later was able to run but couldn't cut. So right, 2 months later surgery, repaired both, neglected PT, squat regularly, deadlift, no issues. Yeah, man, definitely hit me up, like I said, via Instagram so I can get some more information. But it looks like surgery was necessary to repair yours. which is definitely not what my goal was, and I didn't really tear. It's unknown if I tore anything else other than the meniscus, so it's kind of hard to say. It was an impact. So not the same scenario, didn't have surgery, but you had a good outcome, and that's great, and I hope to have a good outcome too. But if not, you know, I would do surgery, so hopefully it'll be great. I remember watching that Goggins podcast, and it was pretty good. Guys, Joe Rogan number 1080. Joe Rogan number 1080. Listen to it. Listen to that podcast, and that's it. End of the video.